Where did this comment really come from? For years, viewers have watched the Brown family navigate the complexities of plural marriage, public scrutiny, and personal drama, all under the unforgiving lens of reality television. We've seen the arguments, the tears, the compromises, and the moments that left fans questioning family dynamics. But this newest bombshell, a seemingly offhand comment by Kody Brown calling Robyn his trophy wife, has set off a firestorm on social media, leaving fans and his wives stunned. The remark was made in what seemed like a normal on-camera family chat. But the way he said it, the smirk, the hesitation afterwards, everything implied something much more deliberate. For the Brown family, words aren't ever just words. Each line, each look, each throwaway comment is analyzed, picked apart, and magnified, particularly when it reaches an audience of millions. Insiders close to the family say the moment was unsettling. "It wasn't a joke," one insider divulged. "It was intentional." Cody knows how to get under people's skin, and referring to Robyn as his trophy wife wasn't something he said just for the cameras. It was a strategic play to prove himself, to remind everyone, including the other wives, that he still gets his way. The fans were quick to jump on social media, overwhelming forums, Reddit posts, and Twitter with shock and outrage. Hashtags such as #TrophyWife-drama and #Robyn reaction began trending within hours. Some viewers were in disbelief, posting, "I can't believe he actually said that. After all that, how could he be so insensitive?" Others were more speculative, positing that the remark revealed deep-seated tensions and favoritism in the family. But the actual saga, insiders say, is not about a single comment. It is about what that comment represents: the complex power game between Cody and his wives, the constant public fight for attention, and the careful balancing act that has sustained the Brown family's polygamous marriage. At least in public, for decades Robyn's response, caught discreetly on tape, was swift but subtle. A flash of shock played across her face, followed by a tight smile that didn't quite make it to her eyes. Sources call it the calm before the storm. For those familiar with her, Robyn hardly ever responds overtly to Cody's taunts. But when she does, it is deliberate, and it usually means the trouble is about to intensify in the background. In the meantime, Meri Brown, observant as ever, is said to have witnessed the exchange happen with incredulity and unspoken annoyance. Friends of Meri report that she texted Christine and Janelle the moment it happened, inquiring if they had witnessed anyone else hearing the remark, and affirming that yes, this was not merely awful television, but a calculated move to shock, to provoke, and to dominate. And then there is the wider fallout. In the reality world, every remark has the potential to travel far beyond the confines of the house. Fans analyze, pundits guess, and devoted fans argue interminably. But when a patriarch such as Cody makes a comment suggesting hierarchy among his wives, the repercussions aren't simply online gossip. They become a narrative, a headline, and the potential for a legal and emotional powder keg. This is where it gets messy, because while the cameras caught one moment, several sources report that the comment has generated a private storm. Robyn reportedly also consulted intimate friends and even lawyers regarding whether this comment, and its continuing preferential treatment, could be used in current conflicts over money, real estate, or even contract fulfillment with TLC. It is a glimpse behind the glossy reality show veneer, showing that even in what appears to be a mundane moment, the Brown family's power struggles are ever present. And as sources point out, this trophy wife remark is only the tip of the iceberg. There are depths to this, secrets and plots that viewers have yet to fully realize. Viewers, you won't believe what happens next. Cody's remark isn't just a soundbite, it is the first shot across the bow in a saga that will be played out over weeks, months, and maybe even next season. And as for Robyn, the moment might seem little, but sources propose it may signal the beginning of a deeper reckoning in her relationship with Cody and publicly with fans. As the cameras cut away from the on-screen moment, real drama ensued behind closed doors. Reportedly, Robyn immediately retreated into a private area, messaging a close friend, her words laced with frustration and incredulity. "I don't believe he said that again," she allegedly wrote, referring to a habitual pattern of Cody making public statements that subtly, or not so subtly, established hierarchy among his wives. This wasn't some isolated remark. Sources inform us that Cody has, year after year, persistently elevated Robyn in a way which tends to leave the other wives feeling relegated. But it is one thing for that to go down quietly behind closed doors. It is another to do it with millions of people watching, aware the cameras catch every expression. Meri Brown, always perceptive, was able to detect the subtlety friends closest to her indicate that she was inclined towards the production team, talking in hushed tones. "Did you hear that? That is not a comment. It is a statement." Meri, who has traditionally gone out of her way to steer clear of public showdowns, was said to be irked and disturbed. She was aware that the consequences of this statement were not minor. In the Brown household, words are more than words, they are power plays, signals, and sometimes weapons. Meanwhile, Christine and Janelle were already speculating about the ripple effect of the comment. Through private messages, the sisters discussed the potential fallout, how fans might interpret it, how TLC producers could spin it, and most importantly, how Robyn would respond. The consensus. This was Cody at his most deliberate, leveraging the cameras to enforce a faint pecking order that the family has been trying to keep up with in private and public life for years. Robyn's response, while kept in check on camera, apparently ramped up behind it. Her friends describe her as initially quieting herself, taking it all in, then tentatively plotting her next step. Friends point out that whenever Robyn responds this way, it is not an impulsive emotional reaction, it is a calculated move. She allegedly started working on a list of issues and discussion points, ready to stand up for herself in closed-door talks with Cody and in possible sit-downs with TLC producers. The term trophy wife has long had cultural connotations, suggesting a shallow or mercenary relationship. To listeners, it was surprising to hear Cody apply it to Robyn, particularly after all those years of presenting a well-choreographed image of love, commitment, and family harmony. The remark, so plain on its face, fueled rumors of favoritism, envy, and hidden tensions that viewers long presumed, but never saw so openly. According to insiders, this scene also brought to light something Cody rarely faced, the vision of his wives as individuals, rather than mere projections of his persona. Robyn, for example, has fashioned a public image that is both caretaking and hardy by calling her a trophy. Cody unwittingly put the spotlight on her achievements, her sacrifices, and the delicate balance she has to maintain in a household of several wives and children. This is where the drama gets heightened. Sources state that Cody's comment did not only generate tension, but also spurred a series of talks and underlying disagreements that had been brewing for months. In private, Robyn reportedly questioned the fairness of her position, while Meri and Christine expressed concerns over public perception. Janelle, known for her strategic thinking, reportedly considered how this could impact the family's legacy on the show and beyond. Viewers, what you saw on camera was only the tip of the iceberg. The actual drama played out in hushed huddles, frantic texts, and guarded scrutiny of each word Cody uttered that day. And as insiders predict, this trophy wife's crack can be a precursor to even larger bombshells, financial conflicts, behind the scenes anger and unstated alliances that have quietly influenced the Brown family for years. Almost immediately after the episode aired, the response was swift and dramatic. Social media went into meltdown with viewers analyzing Cody's trophy wife remark, and fan sites were ablaze with theories, indignation, and sympathy for Robyn. Hashtags number trophy wife comment and number Robyn deserves better became popular in hours, and YouTube comment sections were filled with posts of shock. Anger fans were divided over the subtext. Was Cody really complimenting Robyn, or was this a calculated power play intended to exert superiority over the other wives? Veteran fans observed patterns they hadn't noticed before. A few remembered times when Cody made subtle comparisons between Robyn's accomplishments and dedication and those of Meri, Christine, and Janelle, and decided that this remark vindicated what they had known all along: Robyn occupies a special, nearly sacrosanct position in his pecking order. Meanwhile, TLC producers allegedly saw the drama as a goldmine. Insider sources confirmed that there were meetings soon after the shoot, planning out the way to frame future episodes to increase tension and maximize audience participation. That one line about being a trophy wife was not merely a sensational headline grabber. It turned into a plotline that could propel ratings, fuel social media arguments, and have people hooked on the next episode. Robyn's off-camera response to the social media outburst was divided. On the one hand, she was grateful for the sympathy of fans who branded Kody's comment insensitive. On the other hand, the insiders claim she was frustrated and embarrassed at the knowledge that millions were witnessing a private moment and a stinging comment. For Robyn, the camera tended to amplify feeling, rendering intimate subtleties of public spectacle, and she reportedly grappled with how to manage such exposure without further heightening tensions. Meri, Christine, and Janelle weren't quiet either. Friends indicate that Meri felt vindicated for observing the patterns much earlier than the remark went public, whereas Christine and Janelle considered the situation tactically, weighing how it would impact not just family life but also their own image with TLC in the audience. The wives, while frequently appearing together in public, purportedly have different private conversations regarding such events as this, each discussing the possible consequences and plotting reactions accordingly. In the meanwhile, fan theories emerged. Some entertained the idea that Kody's remark was a test, a check of Robyn's loyalty and reaction. Others thought it was a strategic maneuver to claim his authority ahead of future family discussions regarding finances, assets, or shooting schedules. And yet another faction believed that the comment was performative only, designed to generate clicks, comments, and attentions from an enthralled public. Amid the mayhem on the internet, the Brown family reportedly went ahead with filming as planned, although sources indicate the mood on set grew considerably strained. The cast members noticed furtive changes in body language, lingering stares, and quiet moments of private talk among Kody and Robyn that indicated the remark had reopened deeper wounds. It wasn't only entertainment for viewers. It allowed them to see a glimpse into the psychological dynamics of a plural marriage in the microscope, revealing how power, favoritism, and public opinion intersect to drive tension and drama. Viewers were left to ask, was this just a blip in reality television lore, or a corner being turned for the Brown family? To put Kody's trophy wife quip into perspective, it is necessary to consider his potential motives. Informed insiders have long suggested that Kody is cognizant of the perception of his relationship with each wife. Reality television is as much about perception as it is about personal dynamics, and every remark, intentional or accidental, can ripple across social media, fan communities, and internal family discussions. Insiders suggest that Kody's comment may have been a calculated move. By labeling Robyn a trophy wife, he could simultaneously elevate her status while subtly reminding the other wives and the audience of the hierarchy within the household. The word, laced with both praise and condescension, is a double-edged sword. It emphasizes Robyn's supposed superiority, but it also makes her an object of admiration and not a fully independent partner. Fans who know Kody's history pointed out tendencies that support this hypothesis. Throughout the years, he has made statements during interviews and on-camera appearances that compare his wives to one another, flattering one, while tactfully criticizing the others. Although some perceived them as expressions of affection, insiders believe they are more strategic in nature, keeping control and exerting influence over the family, as well as the public story. Robyn allegedly does not take these remarks lying down. Her friends say she is strong and incredibly sensitive to the subtleties behind each comment that Kody utters. Behind closed doors, according to her friends, she takes the time to examine the statement itself, considering its possible impacts on her relationship with Kody, her role among the other wives, and her image in the show. While on camera, Robyn gives the impression of being serene and collected. Insiders highlight that, off-camera, she is already thinking ahead to her next step. Meri, Christine, and Janelle are just as watchful. Sources point out that Meri subtly observes the nuances in these interactions and frequently chats with Christine and Janelle about what she has observed. Christine, long outspoken on fairness and transparency in the family, was said to see Kody's remark as yet another instance of favoritism that required correction. Janelle, who likes to think several steps ahead, is said to weigh both short-term and future considerations, including reactions from fans, coverage in the press, and upcoming episodes of the show. The social media reaction fueled the tension further. Viewers analyzed every word, critiqued facial expressions, and theorized body language. Some thought Robyn's smile in front of the camera was insincere, implying discomfort or disapproval. Others scrutinized the tone of Kody, asserting that it indicated underlying tension and a need to prove dominance. On Instagram, Twitter, and fan sites, arguments swirled about whether this was a light-hearted compliment or a calculated move to shape both the family and viewers. The trophy wife remark also posed a problem for TLC insiders say, "The network feeds on drama, but it must balance entertainment with the genuine emotional investments of the family." Producers allegedly weighed whether or not to broadcast the segment in its entirety, aware that it would incite heated debate while possibly fueling ongoing tensions between the wives. Ultimately, they chose to feature it, realizing that the drama would likely increase ratings and viewership. As the days after the show went by, Robyn allegedly received a flood of messages from viewers offering words of encouragement, admiration, and solidarity. Though valued, these messages also put pressure on her, reminding her that there were now millions of viewers waiting for her to reply, her reaction, and what she would do next. In behind-the-scenes meetings, Robyn allegedly had a private strategy session with her inner circle, including how to deal with Kody's trophy wife comment. Sources indicate she went about it in a measured way, considering every word before she responded on camera or publicly. Contrary to what viewers watch in the edited episodes, private conversations usually expose a much more strategic approach to household dynamics, revealing that Robyn is not just responding emotionally, but tactically positioning herself in the family pecking order. Robyn's primary concern, insiders say, was protecting her image. Although she likes praise, the trophy wife tag carries with it baggage that can discredit her autonomy and credibility. Previously, the same comments have been utilized to downplay her achievements outside the home, and she apparently would like to keep from repeating that. Close friends say she is well aware of how those stories become buzz online, affecting how fans perceive her and also the storylines delivered in future seasons. Communication with the other wives is essential. Robyn reportedly reached out to Meri, Christine, and Janelle to gauge their reactions and to ensure that her approach would not create unnecessary conflict. These conversations are described as delicate, balancing honesty with tact. Each wife has her own perspective on Kody's behavior, and navigating these differing viewpoints requires diplomacy. Sources indicate that such conversations were a combination of venting complaints, making comments, and coordinating strategies for safeguarding individual and collective interests. Christine, who is assertive according to reports, was insistent that the remark must be tackled squarely. She believed that to ignore it might perpetuate Kody's habit of favoritism and incrementally erode Robyn's authority within the family. Meri and Janelle, on the other hand, allegedly encouraged a wiser line, urging Robyn to reply judiciously on her own terms, instead of reacting in such a way as to cause unnecessary tension. Hindsightedly, Kody's response off camera was said to be more reserved than what he exhibited on television. Insiders say he expected the comment would stir up trouble, but didn't appear to care about its potential long-term impact. Although Kody tends to seem so confident and self-sure on television, insiders close to the family report that he is extremely sensitive to the optics and is very adept at manipulating narratives both subtly and overtly. The fan reaction introduced another level of depth. Social media soon became a battlefield, with some viewers defending Kody's comment as innocuous, others attacking him for perpetuating stereotypes, and many analyzing Robyn's body language for indicators of discomfort. Insiders say that Robyn keeps a close eye on such comments to see how people react because she knows that her reaction, or lack of reaction, can affect both the show's narrative and her own image among fans. Production crews also, it seems, took their cue. Editing decisions within the episode highlight Robyn's level-headedness, her measured words, and the brief glances that indicate she is very much aware of the tension at work. These choices illustrate how the producers of reality television manipulate footage to generate drama, making a passable comment become a center point for the episode. As this development progressed, the dynamics between the wives grew more complex. Although the remark might seem straightforward on the surface, insiders point out that it alludes to years of unresolved matters, hierarchical conflict, and interpersonal maneuvers. Robyn's future moves, thoughtfully planned and intentional, will inevitably have spillover consequences on subsequent episodes, fan responses, and her relationship with Kody. The fan backlash to Kody's trophy wife's comment was instant and fierce. Social networking sites such as Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit were virtual battlegrounds where audiences picked apart each detail of the gaffe. Some fans jumped to Kody's defense, claiming that the remark was intended as a compliment and an expression of real admiration for Robyn. Others were appalled, accusing the comment of minimizing Robyn to a shallow label and reinforcing bygone gender stereotypes. Fan theories sprang up rapidly, picking apart Kody's tone, gestures, and the context of the conversation. Footage of the scene went viral, frequently with added comment tearing apart the significant looks shared between Robyn and Kody. One trending theory posited that Robyn's fleeting smile concealed secret frustration, and another claimed the comment was evidence of deeper issues of favoritism and hierarchy in the family. Memes and reaction videos soon began flooding YouTube, pushing the discourse beyond conventional fan message boards. These creators heightened the drama, sometimes hyperbolizing Kody's delivery, or pointing out Robyn's facial expressions to elicit reaction. The quick outbreak of these reactions also put more pressure on the family, since the social media buzz affected both production choices and the emotional investment of the episode. Interestingly, some fans made comparisons to previous controversies in the family. The controversy of favoritism, money, and how the public sees them is nothing new for the Browns. Previously, remarks regarding spending, assets, and public appearances generated similar debates, with viewers staunchly lining up behind one wife or another. Kody's trophy wife comment served perfectly into this ongoing trend, opening up old arguments and fueling rumors of impending dramas. Robyn allegedly kept a close eye on these responses. She studied supportive and critical comments alike to measure public opinion, taking into consideration how her next steps might influence people's perceptions of her autonomy, intelligence, and clout within the home. Social media for her is not just a space for fanhood, but also a reflection of the larger narrative the show gives the world. Production staff were not excluded from the online discussion. Reportedly, editors and producers utilized reactions from fans to work on future episodes, pushing scenes that would intensify drama or explain relational dynamics. The feedback cycle between fan reaction and show content demonstrates the intricate interaction of reality television, where genuine emotions and calculated narration blend. In-off camera talk, Meri, Christine, and Janelle reportedly also spoke about reactions from fans, while Robyn prepared her measured answer. The other wives weighed the wider implications on family roles and their own standing in the show. These discussions were said to have involved humor, frustration, and plotting, a reflection of the tension of supporting each other while balancing Kody's influence and public judgment. Over the days that followed, Kody's remark was still echoing. Interviews, social media videos, and fan discussion boards continued the debate, making sure that this one statement remained relevant long after it was first aired. For Robyn, this translated into further importance on managing her image, communication style, and future interactions with Kody. In the background, the production team was instrumental in framing the narrative surrounding Kody's trophy wife remark. Reality television, as much as it is unrehearsed, depends largely on selective editing to create drama. Sources point out that several camera angles, close-ups, and reaction shots were deliberately selected to enhance Robyn's reactions and Kody's lines, which heightened viewers' tension. One of the editing processes used was to pick out micro-expressions that would not be otherwise visible. Robyn's momentary pause, quick glance, and slight lean were all part of the edit, conveying the sense of measured control. These are tiny things, but when blended with Kody's assured delivery, they implied depth of unexpressed tension that audiences found engaging. Another strategy allegedly used was sequencing. The remark was placed within shots of past domestic arguments, establishing narrative continuity that suggested an underlying pattern of favoritism and strain. By inserting flashbacks and responses from the other wives, editors subtly supported the inference that this was more than an offhand compliment. It was an electrified moment of relational importance. Interviews for the show were also precisely timed. Robyn's confession, where she spoke to the remark without turning on Kody, was edited to show her self-control and wit. Production insiders point out that these moments are usually shot in more than one take, so that the editors can choose the exact delivery that will work best for the episode's storyline. Kody was said to have some say in which parts of his answers were used. Though he always seemed so confident, Sources say that in reality, he has a very keen eye for how he is presented to the public. By managing what reactions and comments make it onto tape, he can quietly control the story, making sure his motives are interpreted the way he wants them to be, or at least creating doubt that makes followers speculate. The other wives were equally perceptive about how the images could be edited. Meri, Christine, and Janelle allegedly sat down with Robyn to discuss what were the most powerful moments and how to walk the public relations tightrope. Not only did they aim to defend their own reputations, but also handle the group dynamic in a manner that was credible and that did not allow for unnecessary escalation. The end result, then, is a masterful mixture of unfiltered emotion and storytelling. While Kody's comment appears spontaneous, the context, sequencing, and emphasis are all designed to maximize viewer engagement. This approach demonstrates the intricate dance between reality and production, where real interactions are shaped to create compelling television. Fans watching the episode reacted strongly to these elements. Social media chatter commonly commented on the intensity of Robyn's look, Kody's presentation, and tension among the wives, often surmising about off-camera dialogue and behind-the-scenes conflict. The triple prong of editing, strategic interviews, and fan participation took one comment and created a narrative that would dominate the show's conversation for weeks. In the days after Kody's trophy wife comment, Robyn stepped back from the cameras to deal with her feelings and regroup. Insiders from the family tell us she was at first stunned by the reaction of the public, especially the aggressive media scrutiny from viewers on social networking websites. Though she had been expecting some derogatory comments, the extent and intensity of viewer responses exceeded everyone's expectations. Robyn spent hours pondering the comment, even talking about it with close friends and relatives off the show. Her interest lay in knowing what she felt as well as the possible ripple effect on the other wives. It was not a matter of individual hurt. Robyn was keenly aware of how the comment might tilt the family dynamics, skew public opinion, and change interactions with her co-wives. According to behind-the-scenes reports, Robyn's reaction was deliberate. Instead of flying off the handle, she opted to couch her thoughts in careful phrases for future episodes. In a private interview, she called the incident unsettling, but made clear she did not want it to define her. In dictating her own story, Robyn sought to prove her strength, while secretly confronting the seedier undertones of favoritism and abuse of power within the family. At the same time, Kody was also concerned about the public response. Accounts report him as having been both surprised and intrigued by the ferocity of fan commentary. In conversations with producers, Kody was said to have explained the comment was meant as a compliment, pointing out his appreciation of Robyn's contribution to the family. But the explanation served to quiet nothing, and fans argued back and forth about whether or not the comment showed true affection, a strategic remark, or an accidental diss to the other wives. The other wives had their take on things too. Christine, Janelle, and Meri were said to have been upset by the incident, not so much because of Robyn's emotions, but simply because the remark opened up lingering tensions regarding hierarchy and favoritism. Private discussions between the wives indicated that they were worried about how Kody's words might be received by the rest of the family and how their relationships were presented on camera. Fandoms were quick to catch on to the dynamics. Social media pages and online forums blew up with opinions, memes, and analysis of Kody's tone, body language, and why he made the comment in the first place. Loads of viewers went frame by frame on each episode to see how Kody's interactions with all 5 wives compared to figure out if favoritism was a trend. The conversation frequently entailed mentions of past shows, endorsing the idea that the trophy wife remark was part of an overarching story arc and not a one-off moment. Robyn, conscious of the attention, chose to leverage the public interest. In interviews with producers on the show, she said that she would like to respond to the comment on her own terms within future episodes, so that she could explain her feelings and retain a sense of control. In doing this, she attempted to gain control over the story, so viewers would perceive her as more than a passive player, but as a person who could present her view. Throughout the week, it was evident that the trophy wife quip was not a momentary lapse. It was now a focal point in the season's narrative. The sum of Kody's public persona, Robyn's reaction, and fan reaction created a feedback loop that kept the issue trending on and off social media. As drama relating to Kody's trophy wife statement persisted, the other wives started dealing with their own responses both in private life and on television. Christine, who was described as being frank, is said to have uttered a mix of frustration and disbelief. In private, she complained about the way the remark added fuel to perceptions of favoritism in the family. Close friends of Christine reported that she felt the comment belittled her efforts and accomplishments, causing tension she did not feel was necessary. Janelle responded differently, however. Though she remained outwardly calm, she discreetly chronicled her emotions and exchanges with Cody, aware that the cameras were always rolling. Her emphasis was on retaining a sense of objectivity and making sure that the story being told on screen was a fair representation of her view. Janelle appreciated the importance of timing and delivery, and knew that her measured response could influence public opinion and stop the drama from getting worse. Meri's response was more contemplative. Meri is said to be the group's peacemaker, so she allegedly took a lot of time thinking before sharing any opinions. Inner circle sources revealed Meri worried about long-term effects on family cohesion. While she didn't confront Cody initially, she employed inner circle discussions with Robyn and the other women to air feelings of exclusion and the insidious effect of favoritism, and hoped to address the matter tactfully without instigating public discord. In the background, tensions ran high as the wives geared up for future filming sessions. Producers allegedly instigated talks that would bring out the family dynamics, aware of the high potential for engagement due to the recent controversy. The wives' personal feelings were tactfully weighed with the knowledge that each response could affect the interpretation of the viewers and the season story overall. Fans were also split when it came to opinions. Twitter was abuzz with arguments about whether the remark by Cody was playful, insensitive, or indicative of deeper problems. Memes, reaction videos, and long-form analysis picked apart each facial expression, pause, and inflection of voice, building a never-ending loop of criticism. Some sympathized with Robyn, while others wondered whether or not the other wives ought to have called out the comment more outright. Amazingly, the comment also started up all over again conversations about polygamy and family life outside of the show. Forums were swamped with posts and opinion articles examining how Cody's statement fell into broader discussions regarding power, hierarchy, and roles based on gender in plural marriages. The scandal had become not only a matter of entertainment, but a case study in contemporary family sociology, with arguments spilling over into mainstream news programming and discussion panels. As Robyn worked her way through the aftermath, she carefully decided when to speak to cameras and when to slip away. She provided several veiled, tactfully phrased interviews on camera, responding to the comment without blaming Cody outright. Her strategy seemed to mix deference with forcefulness, showing both emotional understanding and sensitivity to her public image. Cody himself was largely unfazed in private discussion. People who were close friends of his said he was taken aback by the ferocity of the backlash, but also somewhat blasé, seeing the controversy as a short-term sideshow. Even though he was taking a light-hearted approach, he admitted to producers that the statement had created a lot of fan interest and potentially increased viewership, an element that created a level of complexity for the family's interactions. The trophy wife statement was a jumping point that brought out deeper issues with the family, and the next section will show the quiet confrontations, passive, aggressive dialogue, and behind the scenes maneuvering that started to emerge among the wives of Cody. The tension among the wives grew quietly over the coming days, with little but revealing dialogue captured on camera. At dinner with the family, Cody tried to deflect his trophy wife's joke, but the mood had been broken. Robyn's response was controlled but clearly pointed. She smiled nicely, but her eyes contained a dash of hurt and incredulity. The other wives looked at one another, each in unspoken recognition of the ripple effect the remark had created. Christine, who had been outspoken in her backyard conversations, approached Cody in a less public moment, out of the camera's range. Her voice was firm but level. She stated that the remark belittled her position and insinuated bias that had been a touchy issue for a long time. Cody did appear to dodge, however, asserting that it had been just a joke. That dismissal only fueled Christine's irritation, leaving a residual tension that would taint interactions for weeks. Janelle watched the exchange closely, observing Cody's cool and Christine's pent-up anger. Her own tack was deliberate. She was aware that any reaction caught on film could be spun in innumerable ways by fans. Janelle's calm exterior contrasted with the inner strategizing she conducted, considering how best to maintain her position and ensure that her perspective was represented fairly in the season's narrative. Meri's role became increasingly pivotal as the mediator. She reached out to Robyn privately, offering support and acknowledging the emotional weight of Kody's words. Their dialogue was both empathetic and strategic, with Meri focusing on maintaining unity among the wives yet affirming Robyn's emotions. The off-camera discussion demonstrated Meri's stabilizing influence within the family, an individual who can de-escalate tension without exacerbating it further. Producers picked up on the increased drama and welcomed sly confrontations for the cameras in the hopes of getting genuine reactions without staging blatant conflict. This behind-the-scenes pressure created a climate in which small remarks, looks, and gestures were magnified, fueling the existing controversy. Even small conflicts were thick with tension, as each encounter had the potential to be interpreted as being part of a grand narrative of favoritism and family politics. Fans responded with zeal online. Footage of the subtle confrontations soon spread on social media, usually edited with ominous music or captions playing up the emotional high wire. Comment sections and forums saw heated debates about body language, tone, and context. Speculation ran rampant among viewers about how the situation would play out in the long term, with some arguing Robyn would ultimately stand up to Kody more forcefully, while others predicted the other wives would step in on her behalf. Through all the criticism, Robyn was steady. She picked her moments well, counterbalancing vulnerability with assertiveness. In confessionals and interviews, she addressed respect and recognition within the family unit, pointedly commenting on the effect of Kody's remark without openly stoking conflict. Her poise and calculating interaction with the cameras lent additional depth to her performance, affirming her status as both a focal point and voice of reason within the family. Kody's own viewpoint, evident in behind the scenes interviews, expressed a combination of surprise and annoyance at the continued fan overreactions. Though he sometimes showed annoyance at being misconstrued, he also understood that controversy generated viewership, alluding to the intricate dynamic between personal relationships and the requirements of reality television. The contrast of personal feelings and public acting grew more evident, emphasizing the overlapping boundaries between family existence and spectacle. The dominoes toppled by the trophy wife remark kept falling throughout the season, with sly confrontations, clandestine conversations, and audience backlash producing a rich drama that stretched far past a single statement. In the next part, we'll explore how Robyn began to assert her perspective more openly, and how the other wives responded to the evolving dynamics within the family. As filming continued, Robyn increasingly expressed her view more assertively. In a personal confessional setting, she spoke honestly about the sting of Kody's trophy wife statement. She spoke of feeling diminished to an objectified status, insisting that her role within the family included far more than the comment indicated. Her measured tone spoke of both hurt and determination, showing a side of Robyn that fans hadn't fully witnessed yet. In the meantime, the other wives considered this change in Robyn's attitude. Christine, her longtime concern for favoritism evident, expressed cautious support, while also retaining her critical eye. She validated Robyn's emotions while quietly informing viewers that the family dynamics were multifaceted, and each of the wives had her own set of issues within the domestic order. Janelle's strategy continued. While she sympathized with Robyn in private, she tactfully managed her on-screen responses to ensure she was not perceived as taking sides openly. Her aim was to keep power in the family while also steering the story for the audience, making sure that her words were heard without sparking more conflict. Meri remained the peacemaker. She bridged the gap between Robyn and the rest of the wives, creating a space for them to discuss things and focus on mutual respect. Her actions were subtle yet influential. She redirected potential clashes into constructive debates and not heightened arguments for the camera crew. In the background, producers observed increased tension and prompted moments of introspection and honesty. The moments were edited in such a way that they brought out Robyn's confidence and the underlying power dynamics in the family. The editing highlighted pauses, gestures, and facial expressions, observing the rich emotional terrain without explicitly writing conflict. Fans were fascinated by Robyn's changing role. Social media activity surged, with fans dissecting her body language, tone of voice, and meaning of her open confessions. Audiences discussed whether or not Robyn would confront Kody head-on, how the other wives would respond, and what this change would bring for the long-term dynamics of the family, memes, reaction videos, and detailed critiques spread, taking the discussion beyond the show and into the larger debates surrounding polygamy, respect, and identity in a plural marriage. Cody, sensing Robyn's increasing presence and assertiveness, started to handle the repercussions in a different way. Though he continued to have some nonchalance in private, he also realized that Robyn's confidence and clarity were rewriting the family script. The dynamic between personal life and public image grew more complicated with the crossing of real-life relationships and the requirements of reality television. Throughout the season, the trophy wife remark was a constant point of reference, a source of continuing debate and delicate confrontations. Robyn's confidence combined with the other wives' responses provided a rich exploration of family life, power, and emotional strength. This development paved the way for future showdowns and makeups, guaranteeing watchers more drama and insight into the complex dynamics of the Brown family. The tension came to a head over a scripted family meeting, which had been arranged at producers' behest to record spontaneous responses. Cody tried to clarify his trophy wife remark, explaining it as a compliment instead of an insult. He uttered words cautiously, highlighting respect while attempting to de-emphasize the emotional response it had left. Robyn's response was swift and aimed directly at him. She kept her cool, but her words contained unmistakable resoluteness. She conveyed that the remark was personal and minimized her efforts to the family, stating sternly that respect and appreciation were not mere words, actions. The cameras caught all the subtle nuances of her expressions, from the slight clenching of her jaw to the careful cadence of her speech, building a visually engaging story for the audience. Christine and Janelle watched Cody's account with critical scrutiny. Christine was dubious. She was still not convinced and called out Cody on his responsibility, tactfully playing off the overarching theme of favoritism and imbalance. Janelle, on the other hand, listened attentively, intervening strategically, frequently interjecting clarifying questions or reflective statements that called out inconsistencies in Cody's explanation. Meri, as mediator, kept the group focused on constructive conversation. She validated Robyn's emotions while also prodding Cody to think about the long-term effects of his words. Her presence was a calming influence, seeing that the dialogue, though tense, did not escalate to an all-out argument for the benefit of the cameras. The aftermath of the sit-down saw residual tension. Robyn went alone to a private confessional to think about the exchange. She explained her frustration at Cody's attempt at humor, stating that continued downplaying of her emotions had built an emotional chasm that had become hard to overcome. Her on-camera confession provided spectators with a gritty, unfiltered view, emphasizing the human touch that underlay televised drama. People responded in real time to the episode. Social media erupted in reaction, with Robyn's applauding Robyn's outspokenness and calling out Cody for accountability. Memes, reaction videos, and discussion forums analyzed every word, movement, and hesitation, all contributing to further battlefield crises within the family. The trophy wife comment, which had been made offhandedly, had now become a reference point for wider discussions around gender roles, respect, and family power. Private musings by Cody, filmed off camera, set off both defensiveness and worry, though he insisted that his comment was meant well. He did appreciate that, in the world of reality television, perception usually trumped intention. This recognition signaled a subtle yet significant change in his strategy, as he struggled to reconcile personal relationships with public perception. The changing dynamics laid the groundwork for an impending collision, one that would challenge the unity of the family and center on the continued negotiation of respect, identity, and authority. The tension, palpable now, vowed to dominate the season's narrative for the rest of the season, holding an audience enthralled and emotionally invested in the drama that unfolded. The repercussions of Cody's trophy wife's remark lingered well after the cameras had turned off. Robyn, increasingly assertive when it came to her boundaries and expectations, made it certain that admiration alone would not make up for a shortage of respect and acknowledgement. She began pushing back in family conversations and confessional interviews, insisting that her work in the home, her children, and the family business should be acknowledged more than just with shallow compliments. Cody, however, was under increasing pressure from his own family and supporters. Social media outrage increased, with fans questioning his judgment and sensitivity. Footage of the episode circulated virally, evoking arguments over favoritism, communication, and gender roles in polygamous households. Cody's efforts to turn his statement around as innocuous backfired, exposing the gap between his perception and reality of his relations. These trends were noted by Christine, Janelle, and Mary with concern, coupled with smart patience. They facilitated conversation, but also kept their own boundaries, emphasizing the constant negotiation of respect and power within the family. Their tempered reactions were in contrast to Cody's defensive attitude, affirming the changing dynamics that viewers were so drawn to. The tension between Robyn and Cody intensified throughout the season. All interactions were subject to scrutiny, from everyday chats to family gatherings, and the cameras recorded the fine ways in which trust, respect, and authority were pushed to the limit. The trophy wife incident was transmogrified from one offhand remark. It stood for the larger struggles of reconciliation of personal feelings, public image, and family cohesion under the all-seeing eyes of reality television. Robyn's path towards assertiveness struck a chord with viewers. Numerous fans were applauding her for standing up to speak out and not minimizing her position lying down. Her development, set against Cody's defensiveness, made for a compelling narrative trajectory, having viewers emotionally invested and wanting to see what each next episode brought. Cody, on the other hand, had to consider his words and behavior, acknowledging that respect, recognition, and empathy need to go alongside admiration. The season underscored the effects of careless comments in high-pressure situations, illustrating that words, having been spoken, may continue to impact relationships, reputation, and public image forever. In the final analysis, the trophy wife remark acted as a fulcrum, a catalyst for greater examination of family relationships, communication, and responsibility. It reminded audiences that reality television is something more than entertainment. It is a prism through which human relationships, imperfections, and development are enlarged, examined, and in the end, comprehended. The season ended with expectation for the next installment, with fans speculating how Cody would maneuver his relationships in the future, how Robyn would continue to establish herself, and how the family as a whole would evolve from this intense, unforgettable experience.